Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So in the previous video, we talked about if Warhammer 1 was outdated, and the answer was a resounding yes, it was very much outdated. So I thought, why not just do all the Warhammer games? So we're going to go to Warhammer 2 today, and we're going to talk about, is Warhammer 2 outdated? Now Warhammer 2 is a much bigger game than the first one, and it also has two campaigns. Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 3 have two campaigns. They have a more story-driven campaign and the sandbox. First, we're going to focus on the Eye of Vortex for this video because I still have not done a Mortal Empires campaign yet. So, Eye of the Vortex, is it good? Maybe. It's up to interpretation. Is it as good as the sandbox? No, it will never be as good as the sandbox. Stop lying to yourself. But is it outdated? No. I don't think Eye of the Vortex is completely outdated. I think it's just okay. And I'm going to talk about why. So, I'm obviously not done. It's turn 105. I have 64 settlements. I have basically all of Nagaron. It was pretty hard to get all of it. And I've started the invasion of Ulthuan. I've captured a gate. And I moved it down through the outer ring and moved into the inner ring. Now, let's start with a little bit of history. So, the plan for the Warhammer games was not to make there was no way they could make a complete big Warhammer world, like, in one game. The plan was to make 3 games that get increasingly more content and stuff in it until the ultimate map, which is Immortal Empires and Warhammer 3. So Warhammer 1 was just the old war world. You had the Empire, the Badlands, Bretonnia, Norska, and that was it. There was just those 4 regions. It was a hard cutoff. In Warhammer 2, Eye of the Vortex, it is basically everything west of the old world and south with the Great Desert. So none of the factions from Warhammer 1 are in it. It's all basically new factions. There's a couple of dwarf factions and empire factions, greenskins here and there. But the main focus is on these new factions, which were, at the time of release, remember, the High Elves, the Dark Elves, the Lizardmen, and the Skaven, which were kind of everywhere. So those were the 4 main races, and each one at launch got 2 lords each, which was a little better than the first game. Maybe it was worse, actually. Obviously at launch, these games are not very good, but after a lot of content updates, there are way more races now. There were more Skaven races, more Lizardmen, Dark Elves, High Elves. There's new races that were added in, like the Galleon's Graveyard, Tomb Kings. What other races were added? There was more content added as the game development continued, until even when the Mortal Empires came out. So that's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on Eye of the Vortex. It's like the Realm of Chaos, but just a lot better, but it's still just okay. And I'm going to talk about it. Now, first, we should talk about the game performance itself. The game, much like Warhammer 1, runs great. 60 FPS, no stuttering. The campaigns can lag a tiny bit. I mean, the battles lag just a little bit, but since there's way more happening, and same with the campaign, it can lag a little sometimes, but since it's a much bigger map, I'll give it a small pass. It's not a big deal. The music, great as always, and it's the core game has been refined and made better. So that's good. That is all fantastic. Like graphically, visually, there are some downgrades. The trees look somehow worse. They look terrible. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these trees? These are PNG trees. In terms of the chaos corruption that can spread, it doesn't feel quite as impactful, although I will say, though, I can't say that because I can't give a full verdict on that because the Dark Elf territory is all just kind of looks chaotic anyway, so it's a bad comparison. We would need something like the High Elf territory, and we do have a sample here with the vampire counts, and this corruption looks good, looks undead, like it's spreading. That looks pretty solid. So yeah, we can see here it adds stuff to the maps. The corruption also looks cool and, you know, is important to gameplay if you're a Chaos faction or a Vampire faction or a Skaven faction. Skaven corruption, although it's not here. This here is the best representation we can get. This is at 35%, but it's not a big deal. So the most important part, Eye of the Vortex. Is the mechanic good? So basically, the 4 major races are the racing to complete this. They need to complete 5 rituals to unlock the final battle and win, to control the Vortex. Now, right off the bat, that sounds really cool. The 4 major races of the New World fighting for control of the Vortex, each with different plans of what to do with it. That sounds awesome. In order to do it, they have to gain, whether it's scrolls, warp stone, spells, stuff like that. They need to get it, and then they get to a ritual. They start the ritual, and then they have to survive 10 turns of a chaos invasion. A bunch of chaos armies spawn in, and they attack you. This is stupid. This is really fucking stupid. Chaos, first of all, you have to protect 3 settlements. Now, one of the settlements is always going to be your starting capital. So in this case, it's Nagaron. But the other 2 can be completely random. So you're going to need armies. It could be this settlement all the way here in the Empire, or it could be somewhere here. It could be anywhere, and you just need to be ready for it. That's why you got to build defenses in every settlement. And it gets a bit annoying because no one wants to do that. Why put all these defenses in when some of these settlements can have valuable resources? Like, look at this. Like, this settlement here has ritual resource site, so it gives you stuff, so you need a slot there. And then it's a strategic location as well, so you should build that up as well. So, it's certainly better than Realm of Chaos, but then again, anything is better than Realm of Chaos. But the main distinction is it encourages you to expand. The mechanics do encourage expansion because the more settlements you get, the more scrolls you get. And there are some special settlements that give you more scrolls that you need if you want to beat the AI. As you can see, I'm pretty far ahead. Now, if we look at what else is there? Overall, it's not very good, but it's just kind of meh. You know, the story mechanic itself with the rituals, the scrolls, it's just not very good. There is domination victory, but that involves killing a lot of people. You gotta, like, for the Dark Elves, you need to destroy Lothar, the Tomb Kings for some reason, 2 Lizardman factions on 2 different continents, and a Skaven faction because the only one that doesn't make sense is Khemri. Why? What did Khemri do to Malekith? Now, I will say that this campaign is tired me out way more than the other in Warhammer 1. And the main reason why is this map is way bigger, which is a good thing. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. The map is way bigger. There's a way more different environments. You know, we have like frozen tundra, wasteland, lush jungles, deserts, an entire high elf island protected, trying to keep chaos at bay. I like that. That's all good. When it comes to the AI expanding, when they're trying to make their own empires, they do actually a decent job. If you look at the top settlements, Lothern right now has 23, but they had way more. They had like the whole island, so they had around 30. Hexalotl has about 12, which is okay. Okay, he had a lot. Okay, I know he only has 8 now, but I promise you he had like 20, and he was in like the desert. He's just been pushed back because he overexpanded a lot. So yeah, the AI does a better job of expanding. They actually do try to expand a little bit, but outside of like the main faction leaders like Lothern, the Lizardmen, and like one of the Skaven factions, the rest kind of suck at it. Okay, look at here. We have Malekith, Hagreef here, with Mal's Darkblade. It took them 105 turns to secure their starting province. Deadass. I've been watching them this entire time go back and forth with the High Elf faction they start at war with. So they start with this, and the High Elf faction starts with these two, and they just go back and forth. They take one, they lose one, then they take one, it was ridiculous. And I was able to confederate all of the rest of the Dark Elves in Nagaroth, and none of them really tried to expand. The most someone got to was like 6, but they started with like 4, so does that really count? In terms of, like, if we look at the records here, I had fun doing this. Like, you know, like Nagaroth was all divided. There was Lizardmen, Skaven, Tomb Kings, Chaos, Wood Elves, High Elves here. It was all messed up. And, you know, going out there and just taking it all, getting full control, and slowly pushing down, confederating, conquering, it was fun. But it just felt more tedious. There was a lot more... Oh, yeah, auto-resolve. Now, at the start of the game, the auto-resolve was the same thing as Warhammer 1, where it was just a bar, and you just had to guess if you won, and you just lost units for no reason. Well, eventually, they did update the game to have it where it would tell you if you would win or lose directly, like just what it is now, decisive victory, close victory, Pyrrhic victory, defeat, and it would tell you what unit you lose exactly. Now, that's the version we're on right now, so... But it has to be acknowledged that at launch, you could just lose entire armies, even though the auto-resolve tells you you win. So that's not cool. The game encourages you to really build up defenses in basically every settlement, because the Chaos Invasion could just be anywhere. Like, these armies spawned here, which is why I had to... you have to... Outside of, like, a couple settlements, you've got to build garrisons in every goddamn place, and it's so annoying because you have to get it. Now, the good thing about the garrisons actually is if you get it to maxed out, you get walls. You know, what they took away in Warhammer 3? Having walls is just such a big difference than what it is in Warhammer 3. So I do like that. I do like how you have walls. It introduces the use of rights, which are cool. I like these. Only the Warhammer 2 factions have them. The Warhammer 1 factions, they got nothing. Loses. And in terms of your mileage, it depends on really the faction you like, because the 4 factions you have are completely different, just like Warhammer 1. And it's up to you, really. Do you like a faction that's more archer-based with, like, dragons? Go with High Elves. Dark Elves are kind of the same, but they have more magic, I feel like. Their magic's more potent. The Lizardmen rely on big, monstrous units and tough infantry, like the Crocscar, to take out things. The Skaven are fucking cowards who have basically meat shields to protect their artillery guns and machine gunners. You know, the Tomb Kings are an undead faction, no upkeep, but they make no money because they live in a desert. the Galleon Graveyard or pirates. They go raid the coasts and make money on them. They can establish pirate coves. Each faction is unique, and that's a good thing. In terms of, but getting back to Eye of Vortex, it's okay. You should not play this if you have mortal empires. If you have mortal or immortal empires, don't bother with this. Don't bother with this game. I mean, with this specific campaign. Sure, it can help you, like, if you need help with, like, guiding into, like, you never played the game before. It's an okay tutorial until you get the first, like, rituals, because after a while, it's just the same thing. Like, I am 99% sure I will win this campaign in, like, 50 turns, you know, because I do this scroll, I wait till I max out, then I do the last two. And, you know, the scrolls, they give you bonuses when you're doing them. Like, right now, I have -10 upkeep, +6 public order, recruitment capacity, black archer growth. That's good. And it kind of encourages you to do the rituals because you get those bonuses. And especially with the Dark Elves, control is hard to manage. It is hard to manage with the Dark Elves, it's true. Unless you... Sure, there are a couple technologies here, like, but it's only like +1. It's really not much to average it. So I kind of like that. And on harder difficulties, that control, like on very hard or legendary difficulty, that matters a lot. And there are like there are also like things that apply to all the races, like the sword of Cain. If any race can defeat the wielder of it, they get it, and they can become like absolute units, while also making their entire empire fall apart underneath them, but you'd be unkillable. That's a cool risk-reward system. Do you continue to wield this epic sword that'll make everyone hate you, or do you put it away and save the world from its torment? The dark... it's over there, but if I could get it, I just hold it. I make Malekith a god. That'd be awesome. In terms of the layout of the map, it's good. The black... why do I keep saying black? The Eye of the Vortex and Mortal Empires campaigns have different maps. Like, for the Eye of the Vortex, you have a complete Lustria. Like, in Mortal Empires, it gets cut off, like, halfway through the mountains. You don't get anything west of the mountains. Nagaroth gets squished. The High Elf Islands stays the same, and the desert is pushed eastward more. So, yeah. Overall, it's okay. Is it better than Warhammer 1? Yeah, I would say I prefer it over Warhammer 1 because it has better campaign mechanics, better battles, and I think it just has a better theming. Like, it doesn't quite have that grimy look as Warhammer 1 that makes it feel like the world's dying, but it still feels like it. You know, you can definitely have that feeling in some places. Like, these mountains look great. The trees look like garbage, and that applies to almost all the trees. Like, look at these trees in High Elf. They look a bit better, but if you look close enough, you really start to notice how they're just fucking 2D trees. What the fuck? Oh, come on, guys. What the hell? Look at that. You can't do that. And it's so baffling because the trees are everywhere. There's trees in the goddamn frozen, chaotic wasteland all the way up here. Like, why are there so many trees in this goddamn world? It doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, there's also, what else? Of course. So, overall, focusing on just purely the Eye of Vortex, it's okay. I do not recommend it if you have the sandbox. If you have Mortal Empires, don't play it. If you only have Realm of Chaos or Warhammer 1, you play this one without question. And yeah, I think that's about it. Now, the other thing I could talk about is how there are some factions here that don't do the race and like do completely different things. Like Grom the Paunch over here, he his goal is to become the fattest the fattest green skin that ever lived and go conquer and destroy the High Elves. While Toriaverse, what's that faction name? Eltharion the Grim, I believe. His goal is to defeat Grom the Paunch and defend his capital. That's pretty cool. I like that. The Tomb Kings want to get the Books of Nagash. Okay, that's also pretty cool. There's Oxyotl in the Frozen City wants to defend the world from chaos. It can teleport all over the world. That wasn't a very good campaign mechanic, but it still was different. And alright, I suppose. The point is, if you don't want to do the Eye of the Vortex campaign, there are other races or other lords you could pick that have completely different things that range from okay to really fun. Like one of Torox, the Brass Bull, he just wants to destroy everything. That he spawns in like Obsidian Peaks, and his goal, destroy everything in his path. That's just cool. And the Vampire Coast, they just raid. It's cool. So yeah, Eye of the Vortex, the race, not so good. Playing one of the different factions that don't do the race on this map is pretty cool, because then it essentially becomes a sandbox and you can just ignore the race. Now, this does apply to Warhammer 3 to an extent with the Chaos Orbs and the Champions of Chaos, but it is significantly worse there, and I will eventually talk about it when I do get to Realms of Shit. They're so bad. So overall, this is like if I had to give numbers, Warhammer 1 was like a 6. This is like a 6.5. It's a slight upgrade. But again, what's weighing it down is the realm of the Eye of the Vortex. Now, if you're playing as a faction that doesn't do it, it's like an 8 or 7.5. It's so much better. So yeah, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, one more thing I gotta talk about. The garrisons in Warhammer 1 weren't good, but at least the settlements were far apart where you could like prepare if someone was coming to attack. In this game, you have to build garrisons everywhere. Not only because of the race, which can spawn in chaos armies anywhere, but because you just have to. Your settlements are completely defenseless without any defenses. Like, okay, well, let me find a summit here. Okay, like here. This is a tier 2 settlement. This is not great. That's not a good garrison. That's garbage. I mean, but that is like the standard. That is close to the standard that is in Warhammer 3 as well. So on paper, you need defenses because rogue army shows up or a beastman horde shows up and they just start raising stuff. You can't allow that. But it is particularly abysmal with the Skaven. Oh my god. The poor Skaven. Their garrisons are something else entirely. Now, with the High Elves, the Dark Elves, and the Lizardmen, and even the goddamn, Tomb Kings and Vampire Coast, their garrisons are bad, right? But maybe if you're smart enough, you could figure something out. The Skaven? The Skaven garrison? Do you want to see what this is what a level 2 garrison is. Level 2 for a major province capital. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Why is the province capital garrison so bad? Why is the minor settlement garrison better? How is this possible? How? Who approved this for the Skaven? These poor rats are already outnumbered as they rely on 2 things: numbers and extreme weapons. These are neither. You have no extreme weapons and you will be outnumbered by a 10 or 15 stack. Even if you do get to level 5, which will take forever, there's 10 units in there. One's a Warlock Engineer, a Plaguecock Catapult, 4 melee units, and as we all know, the Skaven suck in melee, and 2 gutter runners. Now, the garrison building does add it in, but The problem with the Skaven, particularly Ikit Cloud, I tried to do him first, and it was a disaster. First of all, his growth, where does he get growth from? He gets it from the Rattling Warrens, okay, and Slave Orbs. But, like, looking at it, you need 600. It's going to take 6 turns. Let's say 5. So it's going to take 5 turns to get it, then another 4 turns to upgrade, and then another 4 turns to get the garrison. This is going to get more than 10 turns. The garrisons in this game are severely unbalanced. You need to build it everywhere, or else you will just lose settlements. If you don't have garrisons are a must. You need a max garrisons in every settlement. And if you don't, you'll die. You will not win, because without them, the AI will just auto-resolve you to death. One more thing I do want to talk about is with confederations. They're weird. You get the confederation, right? But sometimes it'll either be like green, yellow, or red. Green, you get it. Red, you don't. Yellow, you might if you give them money, which makes no sense because you're giving them money to join you, and then isn't the money yours now? Whatever. It's weird. But what makes it particularly bad is if you're going to confederate, you better make it worth it, because you get -8 public order. -8 for 5 turns. That is atrocious, especially on higher difficulties. Why would you confederate if it's just going to make all your settlements rebel? So I think that's about it. I like the map. I think the graphics look better in some places, but worse. The story mechanic is interesting, but in the end, it's still annoying with the chaos invasions. The map is great. As I said, the music is good. The main thing, the battles, much better. Much better than Warhammer 1. Auto-resolve, well, with the most recent update, it's okay, but at launch, it was not good. Overall, it is a marginal improvement over Warhammer 1, but still it has not reached the quality we have seen yet. And in the next episode of I should probably name this like a playlist, like Warhammer Revisited or something like that. That'd be a good name. In the next episode, we're going to look at the Mortal Empires, the grand semi-complete sandbox, which is nothing to the east of the mountains of the dwarves. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.